Hi, I'm Tyson,
I'm Colin.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Adam.
and we're the Gamesmiths, and we've just gotten through playing draft beers, and we want to talk to you a little bit about our experience with it. Adam's going to start with his thoughts.
I think we all thought it was really great. This is probably the first time where we've unanimously all just said we think it's just kind of done.
Yeah.
It could go as is. It feels very complete. The theme feels appropriate. The story feels appropriate.
The name is spot on perfect.
Yeah, that's really
Right.
cool. Yeah,
Draft
I love the
beer. Nailed it.
Yeah, so all of it it feels really good, feels really tight. It doesn't feel like it's a game that's supposed to shock you or be surprising or be really deep. And so on the level that it is, it just feels done. And so a few of the things we liked, I personally liked the diversity of the cards. You could use them as just kind of that multi-purpose use. You can use them to know what your bar had in it, and it was also the customer as well. So I liked that. It kept it simple. We liked
that there was a little bit of strategy as well, that you could choose several different ways to play. Like, for example, I only ever put one customer down the whole time. And I got second place. It may not have been the best strategy, but I liked that I felt like I had some variability, that I had the option to choose that.
And we did spend a lot of our time in between shoots here talking about our strategies to the game, recognizing that there were, clearly I had other choices to make. And, what choices did you make? What choices, you look, it's the kind of thing where you're just like, oh, when you saw that hand, what did you think you should take?
Right.
Because we all kind of saw the same hands.
And it didn't feel incumbent upon chance. Like, it felt like we actually were playing, and that Ryan probably did get the right hand, but he also knew how to draft the right hand so that he got the most points. Same thing. There was a couple times that maybe we felt like, oh, I didn't get exactly the stuff that I needed, so my strategy doesn't work. But I think that's part of the game and part of the fun, especially with the length of play that makes it like, well, next time when I'm going to play this in 5 minutes, it's going to be great.
Yeah, what was great, it was so easy and fast to learn. Like, by round 3, I really felt comfortable. It kind of did take me till round 3 to really be like, okay, this is what I need to be looking for. This is the cards I need to be played. This is what I need to look for when it comes around the table again when we're drafting. The only thing I had a problem with visually was the happy hour card. That one looked too much like a food card. I thought the icon was. I looked at the icon instead of what the type event, and I thought I was going to have 2 food down and instead. So, and then that got discarded. So that was the only thing. Like, maybe we talked about maybe an exclamation point instead of whatever that
picture
decal
of the
was.
photo.
It looked so much like the food. I had three cards that looked the same, and I took the wrong one. But that's very minimal, easy.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing that I would recommend is once we got going and playing, it was kind of easy. But I did get a lot more, as the guy that generally explains the rules, I did get a lot more questions than I usually got.
That's true.
Your rule book should have more play examples in it. So when you actually publish it for people, explain your rules. They are very straightforward, but for people who don't have experience drafting, they're a little less intuitive than you might think they are. But they get a simple example gets very far. Just saying, you get your cards and then you put this one face up and then do scoring examples. So example, everybody reveals their cards. Ryan has 4 hop symbols. Adam has 3 hop symbols. Ryan scores the points for all of the hops customers. Stuff like that, and examples of how scoring rounds go, of just using actual cards. So once everybody saw it happen and saw an actual play example, I think everybody got it. Like, nobody was just like, oh, what happened there? But, that you think generally when you read through a rule book, you see the rules in bold print, and then you see a little italicized example of Mary draws this and John does this. I think that would be very helpful in specific for this game.
Yeah. The last little thing that we thought was the fancy glassware, I think it was called, or nice glassware. And I think Tyson was saying that was a recent addition to the game. I personally liked it. I grabbed it every time, first time when I saw it come through. Then because I thought it was unbalanced at the start, I thought it was going to be too good. Then towards the end of the game, I was seeing other people passing them by, and I started to think I should probably do that too, because I didn't realize I was giving up 3 icons for one of my choice. So at the end of the game, I felt like, oh, this is maybe not as good a card as I thought. And so at the end of the game, I wound up in the middle that, yeah, this is a good card. It's situational. Sometimes I'm going to pass it along, and sometimes it's going to be really important to me. So I think the concept of the card is really a great addition to the game. However, calling it nice glassware, fancy glassware, at one point didn't make sense to me because I turned it into cheap
beers,
cheap attraction. I'm attracting all the cheap drinkers with my fancy glassware, and so that just thematically threw me off a little bit. So we discussed it a little bit, and we all kind of thought.
Daily special.
The daily special. Because you can make that anything you want. It's pretty much, this is the special of the day in my bar. It's cheap beers, or it's this type of beer. So daily special we thought could go, or something like that. That's more versatile instead of, to me, nice or fancy glassware caters to the more expensive minded
just
people.
That's
kind of, doesn't feel such like a random card to us. So anyways, that's really all we had.
Well, I also want to talk about how the bar food and the salty snacks, I thought it was very balanced. I was worried that those 2 points might not be enough, or like for the bar food and then the salty snacks. I thought the one, I wasn't sure how much of a difference that would mean, but the seeing how the points ended up, I feel like it's perfect. So I just want to point that out. That I think that was a great strategy.
So overall, I think you have a very solid game. But we feel, since you wanted to send the game in and have us play it and give some feedback on it, we'd also just like to give some ideas for maybe alternate versions, or different ways you could play or spice it up later for people if you're just looking for suggestions. So take everything we say moving forward here with kind of a grain of salt, saying that we love the game how it is and you don't need to change it. But if you're looking for some suggestions, we'd like to just throw out some fun ideas that we had. One that we were thinking of would be some kind of like theme night. Which would work into just something that would modify the draft, like karaoke night or trivia night, or
so it's a new event,
right? Deck. It's like a new kind of event. Maybe you have a separate small deck that does things like that, or Monday Night Football, events like that modify the value of certain customers or of certain things. So every time you play a dark beer card, take an extra customer, or obviously that's not balanced well at all, but you understand what I'm getting at, is you flip it over with the draft and it puts different conditions on the draft that values things that might make certain cards more valuable than other cards.
It might
in certain
interact
situations.
with either what's the customers that are already out or what's in your hand.
Right. Yeah. So that might be fun. Or we also, I think Adam had another suggestion.
There's a game called Tides of Time. I don't know if you've played it. It's become a very popular 2-player drafting game, which when I thought of a 2-player drafting game, it just, the way it is, and there's only 15 cards maybe, it's a very small game, but it turns out to be really fun because with the cards that you're drafting that actually fulfill the conditions to score victory points, you're also able to draft conditions at the same time. So as the hand comes around, I could draft something that says I need to, if I can create the condition where I'm serving all 3 types of beer, a light, medium, and a dark in my bar, I've fulfilled this condition and I've scored extra points. So now I'm risking, but I have to draft that card. It's not just an event out there. So as one of my few cards that I actually get a draft, I'm drafting a special condition, and then I'm hoping as more come around, I can actually fulfill that condition to get bonus points. And if I don't, it was just a wasted card. And so anyways, I could explain it a lot more, but if you haven't played the game Tides of Time, I would highly recommend playing it. It's a very simple, very easy game. And so I'd pick up the game and play it, and I would consider putting even in those special conditions into the hands that you could draft to hopefully win as bonus points in that actual round, not just like bar food or salty
Right.
snacks where you can accumulate throughout the kind of set collection of sword. So anyways, that could be a fun idea.
Then one other idea that we had talked about was the potential for creating maybe a little mini variant or almost a mini expansion, as if like Carcassonne does the, if you've played that, it does the mini expansion where you have the river in the box where you start the game with the river. So you have some little bit of variability. It comes with the base game. It's only a handful of tiles, etc. Similar, you could do 5-10 cards additionally that could be added to the game to increase player interaction. So one of my favorite styles of play, and this may be more reflective of both Colin and I, that we like the aggression, we like the direct head-to-head kind of stuff. And one of the things that I would have enjoyed potentially, and I think Colin would agree, is that maybe you have ways to steal other people's customers before things are finalized. So you put these 5 to 10 cards in, and you can say, well, I throw this one down, and now it changes the symbol on one of my cards in my bar from any cheap symbols that were there can now be changed to the type of symbol that I want so that I can actually grab the card type of my choice. And so just little fun, maybe player interaction kinds of things like that could be interesting.
Yeah, and my comments about that is, well, when I think about going to a bar, I think, well, there still are other options out there. So I like the idea of having your victory pile be up for grabs in other rounds. Like maybe not all of them. Like maybe you have a card that's called like Group of Friends or something.
Or that's maybe a conditional event that flips out that turn, like Ryan was saying.
No, just a customer.
Like a customer that will take customers from bars. I get
Oh, I get what
Who texts all their friends and says, come to this bar.
Well, no, every turn a customer that's able to jump from bar to bar. So like I can have it this turn, but this turn is trying to do another strategy, or it's trying to be dark beer. And whoever has the most dark beer gets this guy who's worth 2 or 3 victory points or something instead.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, I just like in Magic graveyard interactions, and that's kind of what that would be, or victory point. So it makes it be like everybody really wants this 5-point card, but in every turn that gets scored as well. So that,
some kind of like VIP or something.
Yeah, or maybe there's 5 of them, and they all do different things. Like one of them's a hop guy. One of this group, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
There's lots of different groups that go out on different nights.
But of course, as we mentioned, none of these are anything that we think are necessary to add to the game. They might be fun little things if you want to spice it up, like Ryan was saying.
Right.
But we just talked about it for a second afterwards.
Or even just in my experience going to bars, you need to have one card that says bachelorette party that scares all the other customers out of the bar.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, overall, we all had a lot of fun playing your game, and most of our suggestions are just if you want to spice it up in different ways. But we all think you have a really solid game here. So thank you very much for sending it to us, and have a nice night.
Good luck.